My name is Katja Dürber. I live in Copenhagen with my family, and I'm a knitwear designer.
Where will people know you from? Because you said you are a knitwear designer. Do you have a website and social media?
Yeah, my name on Instagram is Popknit, with an underscore between every letter.
Okay.
Very easy. And I have a website, popknit.net, where you can purchase all my patterns.
Okay. Are these patterns also available in other languages? Or
yeah, most of them are in Danish, Norwegian, German, and English.
Wow, 4 languages.
Yeah.
And is this your main job?
It is now. Yeah, I used to be a teacher. It's a long story, but I needed to be more in charge, and I felt that the creativity in being a teacher kind of went away in time, if you know what I mean. And that's why I started making knitting patterns.
And at what time did you start with social media? Was it the same time you started knitting, or did you learn knitting before?
Oh, I've been knitting since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that was way before social media. My grandmother taught me how to knit when I was about 4 or 5 years old. The women in my family have always been knitting. My mom made my clothes when I was a little girl. Wow. A lot of knitwear in bright colors in the early 80s. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, the colors and the styles of the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because I was checking your Instagram profile, and normally when I think of Scandinavian knitwear, mostly I think of Fair Isle with lots of colors, but mostly nowadays it's like more the neutral tones, and with you it's totally different. You're like a pop of color. And if you have to describe your style, how would you describe it?
I would say colorful, playful, and fun.
Mm-hmm.
To me, clothing has to be fun, and I really get inspired and feel a lot of warmth with the warm colors. It's making me happy.
And where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, I like playing with structures in the knitting, so I get a lot of inspiration from nature. For example, when I made this Riptide Sweater, which is made in donegal and lace. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can see it very
clearly. It's called Riptide because of the pattern the ocean makes in the sand when it goes back. And of course in colors, but also in the yarn itself. When I see something very beautiful, I just feel like I have to knit something with this.
So you mostly get your inspiration from nature and actually the yarn itself.
But also from fashion. And I live in Copenhagen, so I get inspiration from just looking at the people around me.
Do you also use online platforms to get your inspiration from? For instance, Pinterest or...
Yeah, of course, when you're on Instagram, you get inspired by other knitters and yarn dyers and, and on Pinterest as well. I would say music is also a very big inspiration for me. I don't know if you noticed, but all of my patterns have a name from a pop song.
Yeah, I've noticed it. Why is that? Why you really like music, that you give all your patterns a music name?
Yeah, it started with my first design. I just need to show you.
Yeah.
This was the first one I ever made, and it's called Diamonds and Pearls because of the pattern, but it's also a Prince song. So I kind of started out there, and I had to find a name for my business. And I thought Popknit, I like that. So it goes together.
I thought Popknit had to do with popping colors, but Popknit now you say Popknit, I think okay.
It's up for interpretation.
yeah, it's quite nice to know where the name is coming from.
Yeah.
And if you are designing your own new, for instance, sweater, how do you start?
Yeah. Well, it depends. The way I like it best is just to start up and just see what happens. Intuitive knitting, I call it. Mm-hmm. And I can do that because I've knit, you know, for many, many years. So I kind of know how it goes. But sometimes I have to be more organized. So I start out calculating and swatching and but I like it best just to do it like freely.
Just start and to see where things going.
Yeah, because I like to change it as I go. Ideas, you know, it changes as you go, and you might get an idea that's even better than the one you started out with. And I like to be free in that way to be able to change it. I always have like 8 to 10 projects at a time. I feel it's very important to not get stuck in one project. And sometimes to get inspiration and to get the best ideas, you have to just leave it for a while and then get back to it. So that's why I always have like 8, 10 projects going on at the same time.
I think it's very good to like take a step back. For instance, I myself also knit, and then sometimes I'm just stuck, and then I wait just one morning, and the next morning I will continue, and you see everything with other eyes.
Exactly.
It's so nice to see, and also I think that when you knit and when you create something, always the case that you have so many projects all at once.
Yeah, monogamous knitting is so yesterday.
It's in the past. Katja, if you knit your own sweaters, is it mostly done with the top-down technique, or do you also use other techniques to knit sweaters?
It depends on the look I want. If it's like a raglan, how do you say that in English?
Raglan.
Yes, raglan. I like it from the bottom up, actually, the best, because I think it looks pretty.
Pretty, yes.
But sometimes I do it from the top down. This is also a raglan, but it's done from the top down.
Okay.
So it depends on where I want to go with it. But I think most knitters in Denmark these days prefer the top-down version. So I do that more and more. People like sharing their projects on Instagram. It just looks prettier when the neck is done. Also, it's easier to adjust the proportions, the length. If you want to make it shorter or longer, it's easier if it's knit from the top down.
And perhaps you remember it. The first sweater you knitted, was that bottom up or top down?
Bottom up, I think. Because that was, you know, that was like 20 years ago, and that was the way it was done back then, right?
Yeah. And do you think that more people are now knitting top down?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like the young knitters, especially do it like that.
Yeah.
Either way, it's the same, right?
It's the same, yeah. In the end, it's the same. But
exactly.
The one you are wearing, your sweater, how is it called? Is it also a pattern which is available on your website?
Yeah, this is the Kokomo Sweater. I like, doing my designs, I like to make them into families. So this Kokomo family consists of this sweater and also these pants.
So cool.
I also made some shorts and a top and a kimono jacket. And I just released this pattern yesterday for the Kokomo socks.
They're so beautiful.
Cute, right?
Yeah, very cute.
And they're knitted from the toe up.
Up.
Yeah.
Still something bottom up.
Next in line in the Kokomo family is the blouse. It's a t-shirt with a pretty open neck, and it has like a little puff on the sleeve, on the top of the sleeve. So it's made of this mesh stitch. I don't know if you can see it. So it's kind of see-through.
Yeah.
And very elastic, very comfortable to wear.
Are there still some things you would like to knit?
Yeah, I always have plans for like a year ahead.
A year ahead, wow.
I have so many plans, so little time.
Can you tell us something about that? Just a little sneak peek of things that are coming.
Well, I'm gonna add another family to the Kokomo series. It's a children's edition. I'm thinking about making the blouse and the shorts for children.
Is it also something you love to do, to make children clothing as well?
Yeah, as I said before, the family thing. I really like that, and I have a 3-year-old here at home, and I like to put him into my knitwear.
Does he like that as well, or?
Yeah, he likes it as well. He's gotten into this age now that he thinks that wool can be a bit itchy.
Yeah.
So we this summer we make a lot of cotton things for him.
Do you have some tips or tricks for people who want to start knitting, to make their own sweater? What do you recommend?
I recommend to just do it, not be obsessed with doing it right or perfect. I unravel almost every day. And a part of getting better is making mistakes and realizing your mistakes and maybe fixing them, or just thinking next time I'll do better. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It's homemade, and it can actually look homemade. That's okay. And just do it if it makes you happy.
Was it also one of the reasons you start to knit your own things, to create something with love, something homemade?
Yeah. And the feeling you get when you actually get it done, it's just very fulfilling.
Yeah. If you have to knit with some type of yarn, what would be your favorite type of yarn to knit with?
I think it's a combination of like merino and silk mohair. The softness and the way the structure that I like to make in my knitwear just comes off perfectly in that yarn combination.
And last question, are these patterns also for beginner level or intermediate or advanced?
No, actually I don't do that, and that's on purpose, because I find it very difficult to judge if something feels easy or not for you as a knitter, because the techniques, basically there's knit and purl, right?
Yeah.
The techniques in itself are not, hard or easy, but every person's take on math, on reading a text, on visualizing, on I mean, it's in you. How do you feel about it? I don't know. So what I do in my patterns is explain how the pattern goes, which direction, what comes first, and every technique is explained in the detail. And I make a lot of videos as well, you can see on my website, to guide you through. But my take on knitting is just do it. If you feel like knitting it, if you're motivated, just do it.